I watched the Martin Scorsese documentary about George Harrison the other night. George Harrison he was the Quiet Beatle, an amazing artist, powerful persona, influenced the world in huge ways. He also died at the age of 58. He left behind an estate worth over $300 million, and that was back in 2001. Who knows what it amounts to now. He also left behind a wife and a son. It sort of begs the question, can you have it all? George struggled with drugs. He had a hard time of it. Maybe he never felt like he completely deserved all the money he made. He was always trying to do something new, something bigger, something important. It was never enough. Can you have it all? Can you have wealth, health, and love? I believe you can, but you can only have it if you do the work. If you work on releasing, breaking through, healing the barriers to the area where you're seeking success. And if you don't, you're going to struggle in one of those areas. A lot of people struggle with one or the other. Some of them struggle with all three. Why? Well, we come into this world as amazing spiritual beings. We come with the soul's DNA for fulfilling our mission and purpose. We enter these bodies, and these bodies have their own agenda. The primary agenda for probably all of our life is to keep us alive. And the body has both internal mechanisms and external mechanisms for keeping us alive. Unfortunately, and it's just part of the fact of being human, we are dependent upon our parents or caregivers for at least 18, 20, 30 years, for a long time. Certainly for those first few years of our life until we're about 18, they need to provide us with a place to stay, a place, food, health, help, support, and love. Unfortunately, most of our parents have had a worse childhood than even we have. They didn't know how to give us the love that we needed. They didn't know how to support us so that we could really thrive. And as a result, we had to develop patterns. We had to develop survival techniques for surviving a difficult family situation. And all of us have had something. We've all gone through some kind of challenge. That's part of the deal. That's part of our life journey. It actually also makes us strong. But here's what happens. Some of us, in order to get what we need, and we do need love, we do need attention, it's part of our biological makeup as human beings, we need the support of our social universe. So we develop habits like people pleasing. I know that one really well. And it can work really well for a long time. You please your parents, they give you attention. They treat you well. You do really well in school. And then it doesn't work so well. It gets in the way. It certainly gets in the way of being a coach or healer, because you are always focusing out there on pleasing the other person. You might not even know what your mission is. That's what happened to me. I didn't even think about having a mission. I was too busy finding out how I could please the next person and the next person and the next person. It's not a way to success. It's certainly not a way to financial success, but it's also not a way to succeed at why you're here, at identifying and living your mission. It prevents you from standing up and being strong, coming with confidence when you're dealing with potential clients. And oftentimes you let them get away with things like, oh, I don't have enough money. Oh, I don't have any time. Oh, after such and such. We don't call them on it. We don't say, hey, this is your life. This is your problem. You said that you were committed. What's going on here? Do you want the change or don't you? And you can hear it in your voice when you don't have that confidence. And people can hear it. Your people know, and they don't want a coach that isn't confident. They want a coach who is a leader. So another pattern is controlling. People who develop this pattern often come from a family or a household that is very chaotic. Maybe there is actual physical abuse. Maybe the father has left, or the mother is an alcoholic, or maybe both of them are alcoholics. There is no safety. And so you may feel you have to step in and take control. It's often the oldest child, but not always. And you hold things together, and you manage to survive. And you expect your siblings and the rest of the family to be grateful. And guess what? They're not. I had a client who came to me. She was struggling with her siblings over the care of her parents who abused her, her parents who were crazy. And she was fighting with them over who was going to take care of them and how. We worked together. We got her back in touch with her purpose, her true purpose, which had been tamped down, and she didn't trust, because when she was a child, she felt like an alien. She had these talents, she had these healing abilities, but she didn't trust it, and she felt like she had to keep it secret. And so there was that resistance. She was about ready to launch a major enterprise on the internet to invite people to engage with her. So what was she doing? She was involved with her family. Resistance. And of course, her family didn't even want her. So we refocused her. We worked on the emotional wounds, released the emotional energy, and got her back on track. Now, the third pattern, we've already talked about. That's the performer perfecter, like George Harrison. Amazing people, accomplish great things, but there may be parts of their lives that are not satisfactory, such as love or such as health. They work all the time. They are never satisfied. They push, and in the process, the people that they love can be left by the wayside. They may not get the attention. And you actually have to put some of your attention not only into your body, but also into your relationship in order to have a balanced life. And that's what we're talking about when we say, can we have it all? We're talking about balance. I mean, what's the point of amassing $3 million if you die at the age of 58 and you're never really allowed to enjoy it? Now, George, he tried to solve the problem. He got involved with a spiritual guru, and he went down the spiritual path. And it gave him some peace, and it most likely gave him peace at the very end. Maybe that was part of the reason why he left early. I have done the spiritual path. I studied with a Sufi master and continue to study with a Sufi master for over 30 years. When I joined, it was after the breakup of my first marriage. And guess what? When I met my current husband, I still had to do the emotional work. Spirituality is great for being spiritual. It does not deal with the needs of the body. Oftentimes they talk about spiritual bypass. Yes, you feel great, but then when you get into a relationship, into the real world, it doesn't work anymore. You actually have to do the work. And no amount of tapping, no amount of spiritual gurus waving their magic feathers over you, or tapping you with their wand is going to make a difference. You have to do the work. You have to release the emotional energy. And you have to cultivate a different set of thoughts. You have to change the habitual thoughts that undermine you. So at the bottom of it all is trust. Do you trust yourself? Do you trust the people in your lives? It's about intimacy. You need to have intimacy with your clients. You need to be there for them, but you also need to trust yourself. Do you trust yourself? That's where the self-confidence comes from. I trust myself. I know what I can do. I know what I can give. Do you trust yourself? And if not, what is it costing you in terms of getting clients, in terms of having success, in terms of taking care of yourself, in terms of setting boundaries, in terms of setting limits on the people and friends and relationships that are there to distract you, or your own body? And if you don't set the boundaries, your clients, the ones that you do have, will take advantage of you. And then they won't really trust you because they need, just like little children, they need you to set the limits. They need you to call the shots, to tell them what they need to do and hold them accountable. And when you don't, they lose their trust in you. And they play their games of resistance, and they don't get the results. And you try and sign up a client, or a client you have leaves you, and you feel worthless, and you feel unworthy, and you're back in the pit. And the body's there to show you everything. It takes in everything that you're going through and reflects it in your face, in your posture, and inside your body. That's one of the reasons why people, even though they're successful on the outside, they get sick. Because A, they're not taking care of themselves, because they, like the rest of us, have been taught not to value ourselves, to trust our self-worth, and that holds them back from taking care of themselves. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you listening to what your needs are? Are you too busy taking care of other people's needs? Are you people-pleasing? Are you too involved in controlling other people? I had a client who felt she had to control everything. And I told you about the one, but I had another one who felt like she had to control everything. And she never took care of her own emotional needs because she had learned very early on not to trust her emotional needs. And when she finally released those emotions, she got over the loss of her husband 20 years before. She stopped grieving. She still has a habit, a little bit, of trying to control things, but she is so much better. She is taking care of herself. As a PhD psychotherapist, a lot of times my clients come to me through stress, loss, crisis. Some big event brings them to me, like a health issue. One of my more recent clients came to me because she is struggling with a health issue, really neurological issues and problems with her eyes because she works too hard and she doesn't know how to stop working. She's terrified to stop working because that's the only place where she feels safe. And another client, a lot of clients come to me after a loss. They lose their partner and they can't move forward in their lives. So I help them, I empower them to overcome their grief, but I don't stop there. Grief and loss and challenge is a doorway. It's the universe tapping us on the shoulder saying, you know what? You need to do more. you are off the path. Now, wouldn't you like to just move forward on your path? Would you like to skip the drama? I had a client who lost the love of her life, and he kept on telling her, you are the love of my life, but I'm holding you back. And she kept on pushing him off. No, 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 no. He was holding her back. And he died like that. And now she's accomplishing great things. Do you want to lose the love of your life in order to move forward? Is that when you want to come to me? Or do you want to come to me earlier, when you're simply stuck spinning your wheels and not moving forward, when you're feeling frustrated, when you are not getting the results in your business or your life or your relationship that you want? Don't wait until it's a big crisis. Reach out to me now. Let's have a conversation. See how I can help you. Identify what your barriers are, what your goals are, and how we can work together. Did you know that 1 in 6 Americans are on some kind of psychotropic drug, primarily tranquilizers and antidepressants? They're not listening to themselves. They are tamping down their emotions through these drugs so that they don't have to hear it. But that doesn't account for all the other Americans who have a million other ways to distract themselves, such as self-medicating through recreational drugs or alcohol or TV or computer games or overeating or overbusyness. Overbusyness is probably the biggest way in which we distract ourselves. And then the next biggest way is through crisis. If our children or our spouse is having difficulty, we let them just draw us away from what we need to do. I was listening to a coach who is on the edge of launching her book. She even has a book contract. And she is busy trying to figure out where she needs to live. And she can't find where to live. Well, guess what? That is a distraction. It is preventing her, it's giving her an excuse for not moving forward with what she's meant to do. What's distracting you? What are your distractions? How are you holding yourself back? Years ago, I created a film series called Secrets of Life and Death. And it was to wake people up to the short amount of time we have in this world. When you're younger, it seems like it's forever, but it goes by in a flash. We are here for a reason. We are here for a purpose. The number one regret of the dying is not living a life true to oneself. What are you waiting for? Stop listening to your excuses and start taking steps to make the difference you are meant to make. Have a conversation with me. Learn what tools I can give you to help you with your body, with your love and relationships, or with your career, with your success. Deal with those inner wounds. Deal with those patterns and watch your life change. Go ahead, click on the link in the box and let's have a conversation. That's all for today. Be brilliant.